What's happening, YouTubers? Are back with a brand new action figure review, and today we're going to take a look at the new McFarlane Toys Haunt from the Spawn universe, I would say. This just came out recently, and for those of you who aren't familiar with Haunt, he's actually a character in the Image Comics universe, and basically he was created by Robert Kirkman and Todd McFarlane, and for those of you who don't know, Robert Kirkman is the same person that created The Walking Dead, also for Image Comics. Like we always do with our reviews, we're going to get started with the box art first. And I gotta say, I do appreciate the box art on these Spawn figures more so than I do with the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse line, just because the colors stand out more and they pop more in my opinion. And the thing I like about this is just the plastic window. It's funny because Hasbro's like, yo, we're not going to do plastic windows anymore. It's all going to be plastic free. McFarlane Toys, on the other hand, is just like, yo, here's more plastic.
And it's a lot of plastic.
But on the front of the box, you see the Spawn logo on the bottom, and then the name Haunt right there. And then on the side of the box, you see the image of Haunt, which is pretty cool. And then on the back is the full image artwork of Haunt. Now, his backstory is pretty interesting and pretty twisted. Basically, it's about a Catholic priest. His name's Daniel Kilgore, and his body's essentially merged with the spirit of his brother who got murdered, and they manifest in some ectoplasm-based suit, which, honestly, this just looks like a symbiote. It kind of looks like Carnage, in my opinion. Like a merge between Carnage and Venom. Let me know what you all think. If that's enough about the box art, let's go ahead and get Haunt out of the box. Alright, here's Haunt out of the box. Let's take a look at his accessories first. Just like with all McFarlane Toys figures, it comes with a little base plate stand, and it's usually on brand with what the figure is from, like Spawn or DC or My Hero Academia. Comes with another base, which I honestly will never probably use, because it's supposed to go on, like one of his foot's supposed to go up behind there, and I guess it's supposed to be like the ectoplasma effect, but I saw the product images of this, and I'm probably never going to use this, to be honest with y'all. And then he comes with this other ectoplasma effect. Honestly, I'm probably going to say that freaking word a lot in this video, but it's this cool ectoplasma effect that goes on either of his arms, and I do like the sculpting of this. This is pretty neat. Then he has an additional set of hands. The ones that are on there now are like C-gripping ones, but they're kind of like wide as well, and this one's like super wide. Like one of them, like, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I might pose it with one of these other hand sculpts. Maybe not this one, because this thing looks super freaking wide. All right, now let's take a look at the figure itself, and we'll get started with the head sculpt first. And we'll take a look at the head sculpt. This thing is insanely detailed and well sculpted. I do like how they put the bottom half of his mouth exposed, and you can differentiate with the texture to see that it is exposed. That's insane. That's awesome sculpting right there. And I do like the painting throughout, like a different texture right there. I think they did a fantastic job. Like McFarlane Toys is typically good at is sculpting. Like that's always the general consensus. Anytime you watch any of these reviews, they're always like, oh, awesome sculpt. But they never cease to amaze me. And then if we get a closer look in there, you see the sculpting of his teeth and like the shading on his chin. Like they did a fantastic job sculpting this head. And we'll take a look at the rest of the figure. Same thing could be said about it. Like I do like the variations in paint scheme right here. You can kind of see it kind of like get a little bit lighter as it goes up, which is similar to what we see in the comics or the image artwork on the box. But I do like the sculpting of the ectoplasma thing, whatever the crap it is, on his body. Like, this thing looks amazing. If we look throughout, it's kind of consistent. A little bit missing, though, when it comes to this thing that's supposed to act like a butterfly joint. It's just one consistent color. I kind of wish they would have blended it in, just so it could have looked more natural. But anyways, it's still a pretty nicely sculpted figure. And we're looking at the details throughout the rest of the body. I do like these effects right here. It kind of reminds me of Carnage. Now, these can't be removed. These are sculpted on there. And then here's another thing I do want to point out. Notice what's different about this figure compared to other McFarlane Toys figures we've seen before. Well, not all of them, but some of them. The majority of them have those ugly ball joints. And if we look in closely here, there's not really any of those ugly ball joints. I think they've found a way to engineer this one where it doesn't look like it stand out like this giant tennis ball right there on the wrist. And same thing goes for the ankle. Y'all know, if you've seen my reviews before, my main criticism when it comes to McFarlane Toys are always those ugly-ass ankle ball joints or wrist ball joints that they use. It just looks dated. But in this case, it looks like it blends well. It's not as necessarily a pure ball joint. It's something that's sculpted to match the outfit of the figure itself. So I think they did a fantastic job. And it's nice to see McFarlane Toys listening to the feedback. I don't want to say I'm the one that pioneered it, but if you look at my early reviews, it was one of the biggest feedback or criticism I gave to their figures were those ugly ball joints, like, just look so out of place on the figures. Now they're starting to listen to the feedback, I feel like, and sculpting them now. So it's like, it looks like it's one consistency with the figure. It doesn't look like it stands out. So hopefully they took the criticism and they're going to apply it to future figures. I did ask my buddy Rob D Toys about the Grifter because I noticed in his review, he kind of said the same thing where it's not like those ugly ball joints we've seen before. It's now like a molded one which looks better, like it blends with the outfit of the figure. Now, when it comes to articulation, it's what you would expect from McFarlane Toys figure. The one thing I'll say, though, is the head is a little bit on there too tight, because when you try to turn it right or left, you can hear it like clicking, like it's very tightly placed on there. I wish it was just a little bit looser, but other than that, it's still a nicely articulated head sculpt. It does have those like faux butterfly joints, but it's still a nice movement right there. The shoulders, it does have your bicep swivel and double jointed elbows as well. And here's the cool thing that I like that they do with their figures. They have a diaphragm cut, so you can move it around. The issue is, like we've had before, like you've seen in my Red Hood review, it really can't move that far forward. But back, yeah, no problem at all. I wish they would probably sculpt this one or engineer it a little bit better to have more of a cut, so that way it can go forward, so you can get in more dynamic poses. But apart from that, it looks amazing. And the one thing I'll say about McFarlane Toys also, the way they sculpt the pieces right here, like the crotch area, so when you're swiveling it or turning it, it doesn't have that ugly breakage like you see with Marvel Legends. But still with articulations the same, like legs can go out probably that far out. There is double jointed knees, and then also ankle articulation and ankle pivot. All right, now we're going to jump right into size comparisons. And first size comparison here is Haunt standing next to a couple other Image Comics characters. From McFarlane, we have the Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn, the OG one with the sword, and then the Redeemer on the right. I do have the Kickstarter Spawn. I forgot I had that when I was like organizing the other day. I might pull that out one day and review it, but I think I might do a retro review on this Mortal Kombat Spawn, because in my opinion, I think this is what really kickstarted McFarlane Toys again. Next size comparison, here's Haunt standing next to a couple Marvel characters that I think share the same similarities. We have the Marvel Legends Carnage on the left and the Diamond Select Toys Venom on the right. And as you can see, Carnage has his symbiote here and Haunt has his ectoplasm crap. But you can't tell me there aren't, like, they don't look similar. Like, when you look at them side by side, it kind of looks like Haunt is essentially a symbiote. And last size comparison, here he is standing next to the Todd McFarlane figure. All right, so overall thoughts on the figures, I definitely dig it. And I'll be transparent. This is coming from someone who doesn't really know too much about Haunt's character in the comics, to be perfectly honest with y'all. But I still think the figure looks aesthetically just so badass and dope. So I guess Todd McFarlane did his job. He made a cool toy, and it catered to someone who doesn't really know much about the character and was able to buy it anyways just because it looked badass. So kudos to you, Todd. But anyways, no, seriously, it is a dope looking figure. And aesthetically, like, just the sculpting and work on this is amazing. Articulation is what I would expect, but here's the kicker. I do like this a lot just because they're listening to feedback. The ball joints are sculpted, so it kind of blends with the figure. It doesn't stand out like an ugly tennis ball like I mentioned before. So major props to McFarlane Toys for continuing to improve their action figure line, not just in the DC Multiverse line, but in their, in-house Spawn line, I guess you could say. But yeah, I think it just looks amazing. I think it looked dope in your display. So even if you aren't necessarily a Spawn fan, it still looked good aesthetically on your display. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, YouTubers. What do you think about this figure? Are you going to be picking it up? Do you know much about the character? And like, don't front. Doesn't he kind of look like a Carnage or a symbiote type character? But yeah, let me know in the comments below. Sound off. And like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching. And I do like the paint scheme. Oh, shit. I do. God damn it.